Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Quick Tip Thursday. And this is episode number 55. So, for my quick tip today, it's to test your paints before you start painting on them. Now, as you can see, this is my Roxy Creations Journal of Stitchery, Volume 7. And if you're following along on that, you will know that I am going rogue with the prompts. I'm not following with what they're saying. The first prompt was a vase of flowers. The second prompt was exactly the same thing. The third prompt is going to be a bowl of fruit. I'm going rogue with that. But I showed you before my replica of my picture with pins. And I haven't sewed that down yet, but the main thing that I'm going to show you now is the final thing of the paper trimmer I did. And I'm going to bring you in just a little bit. Okay, so this is the paper copy of it. And then I printed it on fabric. And I'm going to insert a picture here of what I actually created alongside the picture of my paper trimmer. And so here is the image that I actually thread painted. And if you look at the photo, you can see that there is some coloring on the actual paper trimmer. And I did the same. I did just some lazy daisy stitches and some split stitches there. And then I used some orange thread here. And I'm going to bring you in even closer. I used orange thread to stitch parts of the trimmer. And then this was stitched with a silver thread to be like the bars to the paper trimmer. And then I outlined it. So what I will end up doing is cutting this down a little bit, trimming it, and then sewing it on to my background here. So it looks like it's sitting on the table. But I thought there needs to be some shadowing here, some shading. And I'm not very good at that, but I thought what I would do was just take a pencil and do a little bit of shading here and see where I might want to put a little bit of shading. Maybe like that, and then across here. But my quick tip is to test your paints on a piece of plain fabric, the same of what is here, so that you can see how it reacts. Now, I have some of the same fabric and I cut it off of the bottom here. And so I want to do a little bit of testing. And I'm going to bring in the supplies for that, put a mat down on my desk, and then I will be back with you guys. So I have these Derwent Intense blocks, ink blocks, and my intent when I purchased these was to color some silk threads that I've bought. These I ordered from a company, and then I had this thread that was in a grab box kind of a thing from France, and it feels like it's silk thread. And then I ordered this like fuzzy fabric, and I wanted to color it. Now, this is so crazy, but I know you guys will be able to relate to this. So I bought this box of these paints, and I just looked at my Amazon account. I've had them since September, and they have not been touched yet. So, I do have them. When I am ready, like right now, I can do them. So let's see here. I'm going to switch this out, and because I probably want to bring in the grayish colors, and I wish there was a chart. I'm looking here for a chart. There really isn't, to see what the colors are. You can kind of see like here, but I don't know what all of these are. So I'm going to have to just do a little bit of experimenting. So I decided to go on the Derwent website, and they did have a color chart that I downloaded and printed off. Now the dark blue is the 72, the set of 72 intense blocks, which is what I have. So as I'm looking, the 2120, which is what I was using, is a neutral gray, and the 2110 is a Payne's gray. So if you do buy these intense ink blocks, then go to their website and download this chart. So like I said, I'm going to try these, and I'm going to bring in a piece of fabric that is just plain, because my shading is going to go here, but I don't want to ruin this until I see how these are going to work. And so I have brought in 4 different paint brushes, and let's just see what happens with these. So let's just see what this color is. I probably should go in a line. Well, actually, that's not bad, although it's pretty dark. Let me do a little bit lighter one here. The next one, oh, that's way too dark. We don't want that for sure. And I'm just putting my, just bring you down a little bit. I'm just bringing my water brush into a glass of water. Let's see here. No, that's even darker. So far that one is the best. And I suppose if you put more water, it will be even less intense. Oh. Okay, so that is a brown color. And that's even browner. So it goes from brown. Let me go up here to this first one. I really didn't do this first one. I think this one. That's that. Well, but see, the thing of it is And maybe if you add more water, I've not done a lot of painting. That's the one I think I used, isn't it? I may have to go back and see. That's kind of a smoky gray color. Let me put a little bit more, use a bigger brush. And yeah, see, that is very, very intense. It was better here. Let's put a bunch of water there and see if we can thin this out a little bit. Oh yeah, that's much better. Thinning it out is better. Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's go even a little bit more, because I only want just a tiny little bit of color and shading. What do you think, guys? Let me go in here with this. I think I need a small brush. This one's even smaller because I want to be very, very kind of exact in where I lay it down. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. So I definitely know I want this smaller brush. I'm going to go with that. I think this coloring is good enough. And I hope I don't ruin it. So we'll just see. But I think it needs a little bit underneath here. And I suppose I could have done this with thread too, but let's just see how it goes. So here I had to do a little bit of a voiceover because the dogs started barking so much. So it was very distracting. So I'm continuing to add a little bit more of the watercolor paint onto my fabric, and I probably should have stopped right about here, because you're going to see in a little bit that I start adding more water, and what it does is not the best. It didn't completely ruin it, but it's not the best. If I put more water, maybe it will spread out a little bit. I mean, I think it looks like a little bit of a shadowing underneath there. And if I need to, if it doesn't, turn out really well once it dries and looks good. See, now the water is going into my printer. Oh shoot, I'm stopping right there because I printed this on my inkjet printer and now it's making the color run there a little bit. So stop. My trimmer dried, and if you can see, the color from my inkjet did run up there a little bit. So I am a little bit disappointed with that. However, maybe once I trim this down and stitch it, and I can always add another element like a piece of paper, a piece of fabric to represent a piece of paper, maybe in that corner, but let's just trim it down. I will probably blanket stitch this with a white thread. Let's just see how much we need to cut off. Yeah, I didn't think of that when I tested the colors. It was like, oh, okay, those are good colors. They look nice, but I had failed to remember that I had printed the image on my inkjet printer. So it's going to go about there. Let me just pull it over a little bit. And I'm not so sure, again, I'm not so sure that shading looks that great. I don't know. Maybe I need to trim a little bit more and not have so much showing. And I'm definitely not going to sew it again. However, this piece is, basically an heirloom. It's will be passed down to my children, and they may think, oh gosh, what am I going to do with that? We're going to put it up in the attic and forget about it, because I don't want that hanging in my house. But I don't know. Oh shoot. Well, you know what? Wait a minute here. What if I I could potentially piecemeal white over that coloring, because I'm not so sure I like it. See, I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Because it's so collaged already that I could maybe put some white there and hide that. And then this will be white against that. Yes, I'm going to have to think on that. Boy. Well, and the other thing I could do is just really trim it down, which I think that will be easier, to trim it way down, right up against the trimmer itself, and use the same color of thread to probably blanket stitch it down. Yeah, maybe if I just really trim this down, it will look better. This, where it's really white, doesn't matter that much because it will blend in to the background fabric. And maybe once I get everything on here on the table, because we have several more prompts. We have the fruit prompt on our table, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. The likelihood of me having a bowl of fruit on my craft desk is pretty slim. Let me show you what is on my craft desk. That's what's close to my craft desk. Chocolate. This is from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Company, and these are almond bear claws. Yeah, that's what's next to my craft desk. Not a bowl of fruit. Although I must admit, in the morning, For breakfast, one of my favorite things to have for breakfast is cottage cheese with either strawberries or blueberries. So, yes, I do sometimes have fruit on my craft desk, but there's definitely chocolate always near my craft desk. So, that's a better representation of what would be on my desk. Okay, I don't think that's too bad. I think that's okay. I think that's going to be okay. It's going to have to be okay. So I will also show you the placement for the picture and the pins. And my subby Anna gave me the suggestion, instead of using a toothpick behind these fabric things that I made as pins, she said to use pipe cleaners. Let's pull one out. And she said to make sure to bend the pipe cleaner back so that it doesn't stick through your fabric. And I picked these up at Walmart. They were like 88 cents. So they weren't expensive at all. And actually, I can maybe bring in a pair of wire snips and snip that. And it maybe won't be quite so pointy there. I'm going to have to snip them off anyway. So that can go there to about there. And you saw me when I used this or made these, the interfacing I used is sticky. So I was able to, those are able to stick on there. I think that's going to be okay. Yes, thank you, Anna. That is a fantastic idea. And so I will just, again, do just very tiny, tiny stitches, and that will help them raise up in the center there, and that will look perfect. As I was getting ready to end the video, because you're going to hear me mention in a minute that I got my new palette of the Tim Holtz fabric, and I had a light bulb moment. So in the red palette, which unfortunately is completely sold out, is this fabric that looks like a ledger. And so I cut a small piece that to me then looks like a piece of paper laying on the trimmer. And so what I plan to do is sew that somewhere there to camouflage my boo-boo. So anyway, I think I'm going to end this video here. I just received my boxes of the Tim Holtz Neutral palette. So I want to dig into that and film that and put it up on my channel. But I think that's okay. That's all right. We're good. And by the time I add so many other things, we're not going to even notice that. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it for this Quick Tip Thursday. And I will see you on Saturday for Slow Stitch Saturday. Thanks and bye-bye.